food trends, tech trends, and another deal that went south, which is actually also becoming a trend. We'll discuss as Kababayan LA starts right now. Magandang Biyernes ng hapon mga kababayan, kayo po ay nanonood ng kauna-unahan at kaisa-isang pang-araw-araw na produksyon para sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Amerika. It's a happy Friday, but sports fans are anything but. Actually, the two words that I'm hearing are dismayed and disappointed as news again breaks out today that Pacquiao-Mayweather no go. So what went on? Joining us on the phone right now is our a good friend of Kababayan LA, Steve Kim of MaxBoxing.com. Hello and welcome to Kababayan LA. We consider him an expert because he has ins with all these different people, key players in boxing, being a boxer himself, and he knows all the story behind this deal. Hello and welcome to Kababayan LA.
Janelle, how are you?
Yes, you know what? A lot of people, the same as the other sports fans, very disappointed, very dismayed, but you don't seem like you are, because did you believe from the start that this was going to happen?
No, I mean, when you brace yourself for the worst of news, when it actually happens, it doesn't necessarily surprise you. I think, Janelle, I think there was a lot of posturing here, and I've written about this extensively the last couple of weeks. I believe that there was a campaign led by Floyd Mayweather to basically divert a lot of the blame on why this Pacquiao fight is not happening to one Bob Arum. As it related to May 5th, I have felt from the beginning that Floyd Mayweather was going to fight someone other than Manny Pacquiao, and as has been the case since 2007, starting with this fight with Oscar De La Hoya, there is a familiar pattern. He always fights someone from the Golden Boy promotion stable.
Right.
And I believe that's going to happen again. And as for Manny Pacquiao, I believe he's going to be locked into June 9th in a makeshift stadium that Bob Arum is going to break ground on as soon as Manny makes up his mind. So, again, I don't think that this fight was going to ever happen on May 5th. I do believe it might happen later this year.
I thought it was going to happen on June 9th. So the story is Manny Pacquiao agreed to everything, the date, the venue, and is it true? And the only hindrance now is that he doesn't want to agree to a 50-50 split, which is, I honestly think he deserves.
Well, I think a lot of the latest round of hysteria was caused last night. I get in late and I'm watching SportsCenter, and I see Stan Barrett, the ESPN anchor, with a graphic of Pacquiao and Mayweather. I'm thinking, this is interesting. So I turn on the volume, and I guess it was an email to the ESPN anchor where he basically outlined the fact that, yes, I did speak with Manny Pacquiao on Wednesday night. That has been well chronicled. But he also said that he would not give Manny Pacquiao 50-50. Now, people are now harping on the fact that Manny may have said a couple of weeks ago that I would take less money in that fight. People have to understand one thing. You could put it on Twitter, Facebook, you could talk to somebody and call people out. But those are not things that really happen in a real negotiation. And I felt the one thing that people have to understand is Manny Pacquiao said he'd take 25% of the gross total revenue for this fight. So now, let's be realistic. Do you think Bob Arum would ever let that happen?
Exactly. And you know what? I was talking to Bob not too long ago, too. I asked him about Mayweather and how Mayweather has been tweeting, has been, saying a lot of stuff in public and for the press to write about. But the thing is, according to Bob, Mayweather knows to call just one person to make this fight happen, and he's not really doing that. He's just all talk.
Well, here's the funny thing. I love how people have been one-sided in this regard. They keep saying that Bob needs to call the other side.
Right.
I'm kind of made up my mind to say, well, what makes it to a point where Floyd or his representatives can't call Bob?
Exactly.
And in talking to Top Rank, including Todd DeVos, the president who's going to take over for Bob one day, maybe very soon, Todd has always believed this. The way you negotiate a fight is not through the media. and it's not public because it's not counterproductive.
Exactly.
And what's happening here now is almost like these Republican debates. There's a lot of noise, it's mind-numbing, and you get nowhere.
All right. But you said that you believe that this fight might actually happen at the end of this year. What should come together? What do you think is that magic formula, perhaps, or that, what's the one thing that needs to happen in order for this fight to actually happen for the fans?
You know what I think might help? If the pay-per-view numbers for May 5th and June 9th for both fighters, if they are not up to previous standards, I think at that point there might be an economic impetus for this fight to take place. Because one of the things I've harped on from the beginning, Janelle, both fighters are doing just fine without each other.
Exactly.
And I think that would be a factor. And I believe, just my personal opinion, if it doesn't happen by this year, I think the sell-by date on this fight will have evaporated. And I think public interest at that point will be at an all-time low, and it's like the sell-by date on let's say a carton of milk. It's past its date, and I'm not so sure people have the same fervor for this fight they did in 2010 and 2011.
Yes, like I said earlier, people are actually already dismayed when this next round or batch of talks started going out. I mean, not a lot of people actually believe this as well. So, we'll see when that happens. But I only have one more question for you, Steve. If this fight actually does happen, and you can only answer in one word, Pacquiao or Mayweather?
Right now, I would say Mayweather.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll ask you next time why you're picking Mayweather to win in this fight, if it actually does happen. But for now, people can catch you where?
At Max Boxing, and on Twitter at Steve Max Boxing. That's my handle.
Perhaps you can explain yourself there. But for now, Thank you so much and more power.
Thank you. Bye.
That was Steve Kim. We consider him a boxing expert here on Kababayan LA, a good friend of the show. Catch him on maxboxing.com and also on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter as well. Follow me as well, Janelle So, twitter.com/Janelle So. When we return on the show, food trends don't go away.